This is the first step when you make the webtoon. This is where I write down all my ideas like this, so you can see like all the words. This is just words for now. And then I do a storyboard. So this is when words become pictures, right? So this is how it looks. I usually make like a little separation in the page, and I just draw like vertically. So the file for the width, I do 2,300 pixels, and the height, I do 20,000 pixels. I wish I could do 40,000 pixels per slide, but the maximum length of a file for Naver Webtoon is 20,000 pixels, so I cannot go to 40. I really like having very, very long files for Webtoons, because when you want to draw like a very long scene, so especially when the character is going through something kind of psychological, there's like a lot of things that can happen. Having like a very short slide, I really hate that, so the maximum length is 20,000 pixels, so this is what I usually go for. At the bottom, you can see number of page divisions. I used to not understand how to make a Webtoon file, so this used to be like, instead of writing 1, the pre-made setting is the number 2, so it means that your Webtoon slide, the pre-made setting is that it will be divided into 2 slides. So for example, if you set up like a file that's like 20,000 pixels long, it will be cut into half, so 10,000 and 10,000. This is what used to happen to me, and I was so frustrated, and I did not know how to change it. And one day I just read the page, and I was like, oh, actually you can change the number of page divisions, and you can put it to 1, and then your page is no longer divided into 2. So sometimes you just really gotta read things. Like, it's really a big problem of mine. I usually don't read. I know how to read, but I don't read, and this is usually why I fail at things. So if there's a piece of advice for y'all, it's just to read things properly. For the first step, I have made pre-made folder. As a Webtoon author, you always use kind of the same types of layers: the line work layer, color layer, the shadow layer, so like multiply, the screen layer for light, order of layers that I always use. So instead of manually always recreating them, I asked ChatGPT how I could save time on that, and ChatGPT told me how to make some sort of template where you create a folder with all the layers that are already, with all the settings, with different types of layers. So, and I even have all the names already pre-made. I just take it from the texture and like layer section where you can already choose a lot of pre-made textures, and I just take my template, my folder, and I just put it into my file. Since I've started doing this, I've saved a lot of time. So then what I start doing is I take my paper storyboard, and then I just start adding the panels. So just like the squares, the lines on the panel layer. The way my layers are named could be kind of confusing for people, because I kind of mix French, English, and a little bit of Korean. But basically, my sketch layer is called bouillon in French. It means sketch. So my sketch layer, I just usually do it with a blue line, because if you do it with a black line, then when you actually do the line work, it's going to be kind of confusing. So light blue is really good to do your sketch work. And then, so what I do is like I do the very vague structure of the characters in light blue, and then I add the details with a darker blue. For very complicated scenes, sometimes I will do blue and then also light orange and dark orange when there's like too many things going on. Sometimes there's too much blue and you can't even understand what's going on, so then I add green or orange. So once I'm done with all the sketches, then I add the dialogue. So I just like write the dialogue, and then I manually draw the speech bubbles. I know that clipstudiopaint has like pre-made speech bubbles, but I just feel like it gives a very artificial look to your webtoon, because all the speech bubbles look exactly the same. It looks kind of soulless. So this is actually the thing I really don't like about Korean webtoons, is that they all use pre-made speech bubbles. Yeah, it does save time. It makes the dialogue look soulless to me. I always make the speech bubbles myself, and I always try to make each speech bubble represent what the person is saying. You know, when the person is kind of shaking, I'm gonna like kind of shake the speech bubble. When the person is very confident, I'm gonna like make the speech bubble in a very confident way. I'm always trying to convey kind of like the voice of the person through the shape of the speech bubble. Then comes the line work. In my webtoon, I don't even know how I decided to do that, because I've never done that before, but I decided that each character would have a different color for the line work. In my webtoon, there's a lot of aliens, and each alien race has a different color. So for example, people from Uranus look like pink octopuses, so they have like a dark pink line color. Humans have a dark brown line color, and usually objects are like more like dark purple, and trees are green. I never really sat down and decided, oh, this is going to be the art style for this webtoon. I had a vague vision of what I wanted to do, and the first chapter that I drew, it just came out like that, and I just followed it. I don't know why I did that. And sometimes I kind of hate myself for choosing that, because changing the color of your line work all the time is really annoying. You always have to go back to take the right color from the previous chapter, like, you know, copy paste the color basically. So it's like, if the line work was just one color, it would save a lot of time for sure, but it makes my webtoon look more unique, so why not? Then I do like little adjustments. So basically, for example, when the line work is going outside of the panel, I have to erase the panel and like make it look good. So this is just like little details that I have to fix along the way, basically. For the coloring, I use the bucket, like everyone. Yeah, just bucket. I hate coloring. This is the thing I hate the most in the world. I like drawing. I don't like coloring. Since I was a young child, I always hated coloring my own drawings. I don't know why I chose to make a webtoon in color. I love color. colors, but I don't like coloring. I wish I had a slave for that. As soon as I get a webtoon contract and I can get an assistant, this is the thing I would like to get, is like an assistant just for coloring, because this is the most tedious thing. You just basically copy paste colors into every character. There's no soul in that work. It's just like, so yeah, if there's one thing I could stop doing, it would be coloring with a bucket. Like, this is not the life I want to live, to be honest. And then I do the shading on the multiply layer. This scene was happening at night. When the scene happens at night, what I do is I just like the shadow and I just color everything with the shadow. And then with the eraser, I just do like, I do the brighter areas, like I just erase some part of the shadow to make it brighter. But it takes a lot less time to just start by like coloring everything with the shadow and then erasing a little bit of parts to make it lighter. And so I really like drawing night scenes because of that, because it's much easier actually. You just like start by coloring everything with the shadow and then a little bit of erasing. I go on the screen layer and I add all the lights. So this is really easy. This is the last thing I do. It really takes like not a lot of time because you cannot add too much light, otherwise it will look kind of weird. So you really gotta like find the right amount of light to put on your drawings, otherwise it will look just weird. So you gotta be careful with the amount of light you put in. And at the very end, I add the onomatopoeia. And then since I'm making my webtoon in Korean and in English, I send the Korean files over to my Korean friend and she revises it for me. I'm really good at Korean, but I'm not native, so I am topic 5, but the biggest mistake I still make is I write nun instead of iga and iga instead of nun. And then you have it, a full webtoon chapter ready to be read and enjoyed by the world.